Clint Eastwood reveals the real reason he wants it to end. Morgan Freeman was born on June 1, 1937, in Memphis, Tennessee, though he spent much of his childhood in Charleston, Mississippi. Raised in a modest household by his grandmother after his parents separated, Freeman's early life was defined by hardship and humility. The segregated South of the 1940s offered limited opportunities for a young black boy with big dreams, yet Freeman found solace and escape in the world of film and theater. At just 9 years old, he won a statewide drama competition, a moment that planted the seed of what would become a legendary career. But the path ahead was far from certain. After high school, Freeman turned down a partial drama scholarship to Jackson State University, choosing instead to enlist in the United States Air Force in 1955. He had dreams of becoming a fighter pilot, drawn to the romance and danger of the skies. However, after completing training and experiencing his first flight, he realized that his true calling wasn't in the cockpit, it was on the stage. He served 4 years before leaving the military and moving to Los Angeles in the early 1960s, determined to pursue acting full-time. What followed were years of struggle, rejection, and survival. Freeman worked as a transcript clerk at Los Angeles City College, took dance classes to improve his movement, and scraped by on bit parts and stage work in small theaters. Hollywood wasn't interested in him, at least not yet. His breakthrough didn't come until 1971, when he joined the cast of the groundbreaking children's television show The Electric Company. For 5 years, Freeman appeared as Easy Reader, a hip, groovy character who made reading cool for a generation of young viewers. While the role brought him visibility and steady income, it also typecast him. Casting directors saw him as a TV personality, not a serious actor. Freeman spent the late 1970s and much of the 1980s working tirelessly in theater, earning critical acclaim but little mainstream recognition. It wasn't until 1987, at the age of 50, that Morgan Freeman finally became a household name with his Oscar-nominated performance in Street Smart. He played Fast Black, a violent and charismatic pimp, a role so raw and magnetic that it announced Freeman as a force to be reckoned with. From that moment, his career skyrocketed. He delivered one iconic performance after another. The dignified chauffeur Hoke Colburn in Driving Miss Daisy, 1989, the wise and world-weary inmate Red in The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, the philosophical detective Somerset in SE7N, 1995, and the resolute leader Lucius Fox in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. Freeman became known not just for his talent, but for his presence, his deep, resonant voice, his calm authority, and his ability to convey wisdom and pain with just a glance made him one of the most respected actors in the world. He won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 2005 for Million Dollar Baby, a victory that felt long overdue for someone who had been delivering excellence for decades. But Freeman's life wasn't defined solely by his work. Behind the accolades and the voice that narrated documentaries and commercials, there was a man who valued privacy, family, and quiet reflection. Freeman has been married twice. His first marriage was to Jeanette Adair Bradshaw, whom he wed in 1967. Together, they raised 4 children, including Freeman's daughter from a previous relationship and Jeanette's daughter from hers. The marriage lasted 12 years before ending in divorce in 1979. A decade later, Freeman married Myrna Colley Lee, a costume designer and arts advocate, in 1984. Their relationship was marked by mutual respect and shared creativity. Myrna often accompanied Freeman to events and was deeply involved in charitable work. However, after 24 years of marriage, they separated in 2007 and finalized their divorce in 2010. Freeman has since remained unmarried, choosing solitude and independence over companionship in his later years. Throughout his career, Freeman has also faced personal tragedy and physical challenges. In 2008, he was involved in a serious car accident in Mississippi that left him with nerve damage in his left hand, a condition he still manages today. The accident was a turning point, forcing him to confront his own mortality and vulnerability. Then, in 2015, Freeman's step-granddaughter, Edina Hines, was tragically murdered in New York City, a loss that deeply affected him and his family. These events, combined with the natural toll of aging, have shaped Freeman's perspective on life, fame, and what truly matters. Now, at 87 years old, Morgan Freeman has begun to speak more openly about stepping back from the relentless pace of Hollywood. In recent interviews, he has hinted at a desire to slow down, to spend more time at his ranch in Mississippi, and to focus on the things that bring him peace rather than prestige. There comes a time, Freeman said recently, when you realize you've climbed the mountain. You don't need to keep climbing. You can just stand at the top and enjoy the view. For someone who spent the first half of his life fighting to be seen and the second half being seen everywhere, this shift towards stillness is profound. Freeman's decision is not born from exhaustion or disillusionment. Rather, it's the natural conclusion of a man who has lived fully and worked tirelessly. I didn't start acting to be famous, he explained. I started because I loved the craft, and I still do. But now I love other things more. I love waking up on my land, feeding my horses, watching the sun rise without a schedule. That's wealth. That's freedom. His Mississippi ranch, which spans over 100 acres, has become his sanctuary. He converted the property into a bee sanctuary in 2014, a project born from his concern about declining bee populations and his desire to contribute to the environment in a meaningful way. It's a quieter legacy than an Oscar, but perhaps a more lasting one. Those close to Freeman say he has also become more selective about the roles he takes. He no longer accepts projects simply because they're high profile or lucrative. Instead, he looks for stories that resonate with him personally, roles that allow him to explore themes of legacy, wisdom, and human connection. I'm not interested in playing the hero anymore, he admitted. I'm interested in playing the man who's lived long enough to understand what heroism actually costs. This shift reflects a deeper maturity, a recognition that the best performances come not from ambition, but from authenticity. Freeman has also spoken candidly about aging in Hollywood, an industry that often discards older actors or relegates them to stereotypical roles. They want you to be the wise old man, the sage, the voice of reason, he said with a wry smile. And sure, I can do that. But I'm also just a guy who forgets where he put his keys and falls asleep watching TV. Aging isn't poetic. It's just real. His honesty is refreshing in an industry that often glamorizes youth and hides the realities of growing older. Freeman refuses to pretend that aging is easy, but he also refuses to let it define him. Yet, despite his talk of slowing down, Freeman has not officially retired. He continues to lend his voice to documentaries, take on occasional film roles, and support causes he believes in. His production company, Revelations Entertainment, remains active, developing projects that tell diverse and meaningful stories. Freeman seems to be seeking balance, a way to remain creatively engaged without sacrificing his peace of mind. I don't want to disappear, he clarified. I just want to exist on my own terms. There's a difference between fading away and choosing to step back. Perhaps what makes Freeman's approach so compelling is his lack of regret. When asked if there's anything he wishes he'd done differently, he simply shook his head. No, I made mistakes, sure, but they were mine to make. And everything I did led me here. Why would I change that? This acceptance, this refusal to second-guess a lifetime of choices, is rare. It speaks to a man who has made peace with his past and is comfortable with his present. As Freeman contemplates his legacy, he seems less concerned with how he'll be remembered and more focused on how he feels right now. People will remember what they want to remember, he said. I can't control that. What I can control is whether I spend my remaining years chasing something I've already caught or actually living. That perspective, that clarity, is perhaps his greatest achievement. Not the awards, not the iconic roles, but the wisdom to know when enough is truly enough. Morgan Freeman isn't stepping back because Hollywood has passed him by. He's stepping back because he's ready to. Because after decades of giving audiences his voice, his presence, and his soul, he's finally ready to keep some of that for himself. And in that choice lies a quiet kind of courage, the kind that doesn't need applause or recognition. Just peace, purpose, and the freedom to simply be.